Greetings people, it's been a bit since I've covered For Honor, but I thought I would finally come back to the game where I started my channel, to talk about the absolute shit state the game is in. As a long-time player of For Honor, that has been there ever since the alpha, day one, until now. To see how this game has changed, it has changed a lot. But to see some of the changes they have made is genuinely disgusting. To say that any of the characters or reworks they've released in the last 2 years have been genuinely good to fix many of the problems of those characters. Yes, there are usually some improvements to those characters, but they always turn into the same fucking character at the end of the day. Lawbringer, for example, he is now Conqueror 2.0. And it's more than likely not going to get better. They will continually make these changes, as we saw with Yorm. Even though they are on board to make criticism and changes to what people think of those, I do think the pinnacle of what actually a good rework is for a character or a slight tweak to it would be year one. Instead of making the character go nuclear by giving them everything in their kit, they give them a few select things to make them just a bit better, to make them more viable. With my little tangent aside, let's lay the structure and foundation of this video in which order we are going to cover these problems and the state of the game. Okay shitters, the first thing I'll be talking about is balancing and character reworks. Next, we'll be doing interviews with community members and people that I've played with over the years to see what they think of the state of the game. After that, we'll be looking at the community overall around For Honor, like shitters, like 4 edits. After that, we'll be looking at the current state of the game. Lastly, we'll be taking a look at random bits of information I deem interesting or necessary for this video, because this is my channel and I can say whatever I want. In conclusion, winning, skill issue, get better. I think I've made my stance pretty clear on what I think of modern reworks in For Honor, so I'm going to give you what I think of the Lawbringer rework as a great example of how to not rework a character. I will also give an example of how to rework a character from my personal preference, and also try to defend the point that they rework these characters this way, because I believe there is a reason. We're going to start off strong with an actual good thing about this change with Lawbringer's rework, the light chain. The light chain is genuinely good to have. Now that he can actually attack with light, gives him a bit more options in fights. This is a benefit. This is only a W for the character. The only people that would actually complain about this light chain are dumping that have no clue how to play the fucking game. But we can't expect the gods to do all the work for these little shitters that have no clue. They should be thankful that they get another easy character to play. Next, let's talk about the heavies, and how rewarding unblockable heavies are. They are not, that's a lie, and anyone that tells you they are rewarding is an absolute liar and should not play the game. We also need to talk about on heavies how Lawbringer now has hyper armor. If he just got hyper armor, he would have been a very good character without any of these changes. But they choose to go, in a sense, nuclear with the character and change everything about it to make it even more scary than it needs to be. He also now has easy access to unblockables with his heavy. He can lead into it relatively fast through his light chain and heavy chain. I can also see it being very good for externals in Dominion. This could be a very good way to mess with the enemy and easily deal a lot of damage while also leading into another combo. To repeat the unblockable many times over, because someone with a level of schizophrenia thought that was a good idea, because for some reason making a glorified Conqueror 2.0 and giving constant 50/50s guaranteed more than likely you are going to get hit by one of those heavies, and if not, he's gonna guard break you. Can you see how this is a problem? Next, I'd like to talk about the bash. For some reason, they thought changing it was a good idea. Out of all seriousness, who thought it was a good idea to change it from horizontal to vertical? By doing that, you cover less ground with your polearm. Why? And why did you even bother changing it? It did not need a change, it was already a good animation. You're just doing unnecessary work that doesn't need to be changed. Yes, it may look a bit strange, but if you slightly change the animation, for example, when you're fainting it looks completely fine. There is no need for him to go from horizontal to vertical with his polearm. In a historical sense and in a logic sense, that covers less ground and would just make it easy for them to move out of the way. You would want to cover the most ground possible when hitting them, to throw them off balance. For a game that's on a skeleton crew, you would expect them to not do this much unnecessary work, but I am kind of impressed that they take the extra effort and go the extra mile to make these changes. So now, we have made it to the part where I have to defend them. There is no gameplay terms or any development knowledge I can share that can really tell you anything about this. It's mainly just the community getting better at the game and reacting to every rework they put in, learning how to counter the characters and actually play the game better and more effectively. That isn't translated in-game, of course, because you still can't gank, but out of all seriousness, in a duel situation, people are definitely getting better. But when it comes to external pressures in Dominion, people seem to just fall apart. Now it is time for me to talk about the most ideal rework in my eyes that actually made a character better, while also making him fairly balanced for the most of the community to actually fight and counter. It was the Year 1 Warden rework. That is what I believe to be the pinnacle of a character. He was given a new move while also having one move removed. The first one was a chase down for him, his lunge forward that is most known for an easy parry. But back then, it was a huge benefit for the character. As before, he could not chase down or actually stop people from running away. For the life of me, I cannot find gameplay of the Year 1 Warden rework. I have tried to find Warriors dens from around that time that actually show it off, but none of them seem to do it. Because of that, I can't tell you of any minor changes they may have done to the character in the process of that rework. The only thing I can tell you is that they removed his back dodge into bash. For those who don't know, Warden Vortex used to be a problem in Year 1. The simple process of a back dodge into bash is very problematic. The basic concept of how it was mainly used, if you throw an attack and he was to dodge backwards in the process of getting a confirmed dodge, he would follow that up with an easy and confirmed bash, meaning that he would get a guaranteed free damage no matter what, and you cannot react or counter it. Even though newer reworks still follow the concept of removing problematic combos and adding new ones that can help the character, they seem to go and do everything about the character, not changing the problems at hand. Because garbage players continue to cry on Reddit about how these characters and Lawbringer is somehow overpowered, even though at the time he is okay to somewhat terrible. If I missed any important information on Warden and Lawbringer as the examples, please let me know, and if I got it wrong, I will correct myself in the comments. Now we have made it to the interviews. We'll start off strong with the #1 Lawbringer of OCE, so he can share his opinions on the rework and the overall state of the game that everyone else will be talking about as well. Let's get started.
Yeah.
What do you think of the Lawbringer rework?
It's not great, I'd say. They just went way out of the boundaries of what he should have been reworked for. Like, I personally didn't even think he really needed a rework, just more of like a quality of life, but it's kind of a bit of a joke.
Similar to like Hyper Armor as an example is all he needed, or maybe a full light combo.
With the full light combo, like, it's not really fair that he can get a triple light, and like, you know, Orochi can't anymore. All the characters that used to have triple lights, but I can understand why they went that way, because other characters have triple lights. So it's not my main issue. It's just all I like, in my opinion, all they really need to do was give him some hyper armor, beat up his bash, and give him 2-hit chain lights. So light, and then he'll have to do a heavy, and then that heavy having hyper armor. Just that overall thing. That's honestly what I would be fine with, because his punishes are already fucking amazing. Beating up the bash would make it a lot easier, obviously. And you know, they did that. So, and we were all shown that with Lawbringer with a quicker bash, he's a bit of a scary boy. So I think those other little changes, I think that'll basically do it.
Would you say that they took a more nuclear option? Kind of like with other characters, Kong, you, or many other characters that you could pick from?
Yes, he like, this is probably just, it's like almost out of nowhere at how much they changed about him and how overtuned they just did it, really. Like, Conqueror, yeah, he was a bit, that was a bit nuclear, I will say. But yeah, Lawbringer, they just full sent it. Like, I mean, if this somehow goes through, look, the power high is going to be bloody amazing. I'm going to love it. But at the same time, it's not.
He does deserve it. He's been taking up the ass for a couple of years, don't lie.
He has been taking it up the ass for a little bit, I won't deny that. It's just going to be Shinobi all over again when his rework first came out, like the most recent rework for him. Yeah, that man was just fucking dominant for God knows how long. And just it was funny to see like the worst character go to the best character, and it'll be funny to see for Lawbringer as well. But it is stupid though. I'm not dismissing that. It is a very nuclear, very just blown out of the water. Just ugh.
What do you think of them removing any sense of skill, working your way into the character's combos, and feeling rewarded for a punish? For example, taking a max punish in the sense of, what was it, getting a guaranteed light after, I forgot which fucking one was it again. It was really rewarding in a sense.
The
you know what I mean?
A light tap, like after a parry, like the little tap you can get now.
Not
just
like
after,
that.
like,
It was a finisher that he had.
Oh, the blind justice finisher or whatever it was. How like on the top heavy, you get a guaranteed tap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Look, he already has that, but it's obviously not as easily accessible at the moment. But taking away, like, yeah,
It was
it's
a pretty high
like how I
character, wasn't he? And does it hurt you in a sense that it's removing any of that skill cap and making it look easy to play the character?
What brought the skill to Lawbringer is the just knowing how to verse every other character. Because realistically, Lawbringer, his downfall is getting into the offense, and so you kind of have to the turtle and everything, and so you just go in for light parries, heavy parries, stuff like that. But in turn, you sort of do have to know what the opponent you're versing and stuff like that. But since they've taken basically all the issues he's had getting into the offense, taken that it's no longer an issue, nor would anyone even consider it being hard now. Taking that out, it is a bit of a bummer that you can just play him brain dead. Not saying that you couldn't do it before, because you could do it before if you had the frames. Man could just stand there and just eat your ass.
Yeah,
but
staring.
Yeah, staring eye contest. Let's go. And I appreciate that they're taking that out. Like, I know Lawbringer can be just versing a, I'm gonna say this with air quotes, an optimal Lawbringer. He will just stand there, stare at you for the entire time. Once he gets that opening, you're dead. You're just straight up dead, because he knows the offense. He knows how to just fuck with your mind. And that's another aspect. He had a bit of mind game to him. Like my favorite combo that I don't know if it's true, but I will confidently say that I brought into at least the Oceanic Lawbringer gameplay was after unblockable. Instead of shoving, go for a guard break. I was the first Lawbringer that I'm aware of that was doing it in our servers, and that would work 90% of the time. And that's like a mind game. I would consider that a bit of a higher skill thing to do, even though it's not really, I would say,
outside the box.
It's not outside, yeah. It's more, yeah. And so,
something people wouldn't expect.
Yeah. And it's like, it is upsetting to see that, he is. It's like, yeah, I was about to go into taking away the zone attack, because I was going to go into his quote unquote most skillful thing. So,
let's see if I can find another question. What do you think of the current state of the game and how they treat each character? Rework, balances, and just overall how they treat the game.
The game state at the moment, I would say, is it's not great. It's seen better days, but it's not horrible. It's not there are still some outliers and stuff like that can just sort of make the game not fun. And the way they go about yes. Yeah, there are some, I'll say, people who make the game a bit annoying to play against. So as someone muttered there, but but I'd say Philly Fry's stack, him, Impulse, Bash Spam, just that whole group is just it is a bit of a headache to verse, and the game physically can't do anything about that.
That is the problem with the OC community, though. We just don't have many players.
Yeah, you don't have many players, and take new players for example. They have to win 3-4 games, and then the game just immediately thinks, "Hey, you've won this many games, you must be good. Let's just place you in a rep 500 plus lobby and make you uninstall the game real quick." That's like that's just sort of why we have a small community, because it's just not new player friendly. But I digress from it. The way they go about the reworks is, look, it's not great. Like, the way they do it, it's not great, but it's the only viable thing they can do to keep up with the current metas and all the other characters. It is legitimately the only thing they can do. Like, the quick bashes, the pressure into the bashes, the faintable bashes, the tracking, the things that just don't really feel fair. It's the only thing they can do. Like, all the other, like, people complain about Conqueror with his, like, shit with, like, faintable bash, instant unblockable, and the amount of damage he used to do. They nerfed the damage now, but, just the way that went, the way he did that. And I'll even go back further to, like, his first rework, where he had undodgeables, where he had bash 50-50 into an undodgeable 50-50. That is just the game now, though. That is legitimately the game. It's no longer reactions, it's a read-based game. And people aren't really grasping that yet. Then they just can't get with the reality that it's a read-based game. It's no longer reaction. We're all new gen. We can all react well, which is why they're speeding up everything, why they're making 50-50s more of a 50-50. And I know Freeze will fucking hate me using the 50-50 shit, but I'm calling it 50-50. And
suck a fucking dick, the average Birmingham resident.
Honestly. But the way they do it, yes, it's pretty shit. Lawbringer, they have to completely redo it. I think it's a shit rework, but you have to have these bashes. You have to have the 50-50 mix up. You have to have easy access of unblockables to stay currently relative. Because if you look at other characters that don't have it, it's just they're not great. They're really not. It's always been that thing. Like, even when I'll say, even Kensei is good. He's good, but when you to get into his unblockable, you have to do the bash, and then when actually before the bat, you have to work for it. And just so many characters who are S tier, A tier, that they don't have to work for it. They legitimately don't have to work for it. It's just a part of their kit. They can just do it. But with I was gonna say, with Kensei, this is gonna lean into more Lawbringer's rework, where it'll also Shaolin as well. When a move leads into something else, but that one particular move is the only move that can lead into it, people's mentality will change when they see that. So when Shaolin first came out, his top light was the quickest, but people were wondering, if it's the quickest, then how come it's getting parried more? When someone's versing a Shaolin, as soon as they see that indicator come from top, they'll just parry it, because they are assuming that you're just going to throw a light. Same with Kensei. If they see a top heavy, their mentality is going to change, which is where his 50-50 comes in when he does a heavy. He can either do a bash, or he'll go into a GB, because their mentality has changed a bit, or he'll just let the heavy go for, whatever reason. And this is where it leads into the Lawbringer rework. People's mentality will change when they see that top unblockable come in, because he can only combo off of that top unblockable. So I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. But I think people are stressing a lot more than they should when they see that. Because their mentality is just going to change. It's like, if he lets it go, he's going to be right back into his pressure. So I should try and find an option to get out of this. Whether it's an early dodge attack, light him out of it, depending on what you've been hit by. If you've been hit by a heavy or something like that, then hitstun gonna fuck you. But it's still good. It's still gonna be, I still think they need to change it, but people need to realize your mentality and thinking is gonna change when you see these specific moves. So that's just my thoughts about that, and my thoughts about how they rework characters. And just
I do think we need to keep in mind
just need to do it.
that they're probably on a skeleton crew as well.
I have no doubt. I have no doubt. The people we see on Warriors Den is probably 80% of the devs.
80%. They got 3 guys working on the game. Let's go.
I have no doubt it's an extremely small team with very low funding, which to me is strange. It explains it, but I think it's also strange, given that it's obviously it's a very well-known game. Like I'll go up to like, well, I wouldn't say just go up to the person next door and say, hey, do you play For Honor? No, but
Yeah.
yeah, bruh, I've heard of it, but shit. But
I can agree to
like,
that. I've gone to a lot of communities, right, that you would never expect
Yeah.
For Honor players, and they play it.
yeah,
Everyone
they play
knows
For
what it
Honor,
is.
or at least they've heard about it. Yeah, it is a very popular game when it comes to just knowing about it, and that is where it surprises me that it doesn't get a lot of attention from Ubisoft. But at the same time, I can imagine it does cost a lot of money because just giving the animations, giving the time, just it's a very, I would imagine, technically demanding game when you're working on it. But that's like, especially for, it doesn't have a lot of players. It really doesn't. So why would you dedicate all these time and resources to For Honor? But that's just a whole loop that just kind of contradicts itself. So, but the same can be said with Rainbow Six Siege. But obviously, that's a much more successful game. It's a flagship game from Ubisoft. So
I do feel
it
like
is
For
obviously
Honor, in
gonna
a
get
sense,
more.
has a lot more players. Because I have noticed, have you ever, like, tried to fuck around with any of the communities, and then you realize you got the high-level players and you got the low-level? They're, like, separated into two different categories, if you will.
Yeah, it's like, do you want to have fun? Do you not want to have fun? It's
kind of weird,
basically
because
that,
I will
yeah.
never see these players, right?
Oh yeah,
But then
You'll
I
never
do,
see
it's
them.
like, what the
Yeah.
fuck are you doing?
yeah. It's like it's strange because like being like a high MMR player, like you just don't really see much else beyond your like level. But there is an amazingly large amount of people from Rep 1 to Rep 100. That community is
Amazing amount of
huge.
shitards.
That one, yes. But they are huge. If those fuckers just did an uprising, we are gone. And
Yep.
just so you either, because what it is now, it's either that just those people, or people have been playing since the start of the game, or Marching Fire. It is legit just those two. Like, given me, I've been playing like basically like since the alpha, not the alpha, beta. Playing since the beta, not the alpha. I'm not that fucking not that
cool.
fortunate. Not that cool of a gamer. Yeah, I've been playing since then. Obviously, not all the time because I don't have the reps to really show it. But I have been aware of the game since that time. I've been on and off it, and just probably Marching Fires where I actually really started to play the game again. But yeah, you are right though. You are. It is either all the low level shitters or the high level motherfuckers who just A, either know how to fuck around, which is like a handful of them, or B, they're playing like at a fucking Ubisoft Invitational, just $100,000 grand prize if you just, teabag one person. It's
good.
like-
They're gonna get kicked off the team for teabagging.
Oh yeah, true, I forget about that. No toxicity allowed in any means. Can't even say good fight.
Yeah, it's
I
hard
don't even
to...
know it's true, but it sounds like it's true.
Alright, well...
Yeah, that's my opinion on
that's
that.
all the questions. He has also told me to leave you one singular message. A message for shitter Lawbringers. So, enjoy. I don't think it's necessary for me to do any more interviews, so I will give a quick, short montage of what people have said and responded to, because pretty much everyone says the same thing. I will also share some quick messages from people that were not able to show up to the interviews or not able to do audio. So, even they get to have a say. They will be quick, you have to read it. What do you think of the current state of For Honor and the changes they make to the game?
It is leaning towards people who force stack, people who
Deathball.
play the game, people who just play the game religiously and don't leave their teammates at all. I feel it's just, you either play with 4-stack or you play with 3 people or you lose every game.
What do you think about Highlander being one of the only high-skill characters left that is still widely played and respected?
I think it's a shame that a character who is widely regarded as not very good, requires a high skill ceiling to be played at a very high level, to be good with it anyway. Where you can just play Orochi and have fucking dodge cancels and pirate with dodge cancels and get away with the most retarded shit possible and still win. It's a shame that still happens.
I want to ask, the first question is, what do you think of the current state of For Honor?
Dog shit, piss game. I play it because I'm bored. I don't actually enjoy it. Realistically though, average game. Dog shit sword game. Pew pew, light parry, get owned. Doesn't even help.
So,
Nah, bro, I shouldn't be punished for being better than people. I deflect people on Shaolin. I punish them with 20 damage. Hold up, hyper armor, get hit with 32 damage from Hito. I lose that trade because I'm better than him.
on God.
Dog shit game.
I genuinely wanted Bass to show up for audio. I know he has some good points, but I think this will mainly cover what he wanted to say since he was not able to show up. I don't think I'll show any more. Like I said, you can see that everyone is saying the same thing. Game is boring. They need to do better with their reworks. Just for a little second, I may bring up one more person. His name is Buddha, and he disagreed with a decent amount of these opinions, at least when I gave it to him. I forgot to record any audio when I did it with him, but he seemed to agree with some things, but mainly disagree, and I know he will watch this video. So if you see him in the comments, I'd know, ask him. It is time to talk about the community of For Honor, because everyone just seems tired. I don't think many people actually want to cover this game anymore. Where I started to notice this decline in the community was through Instagram and then through YouTube. Everyone seems to be doing okay, but it must be starting to hit them, because I can easily tell they are getting less views than they used to, which I can't blame them. There's not much to post about this game. Let's go over one of my favorite content creators as an example, King Angelus. We all know how much I love him. I really do, trust me. This is why he lives rent-free in my head 2 years after that exposed video. And his content is only gotten better. I can assure you, it's genuinely good, because this is the same person that said he could beat Havoc, even though I waffle-stomped him really hard in 2 different Dominion matches. But hey, I can't expect the gods to do all the work. Even then, I don't think the gods would waste their time killing a shitter. They would rather take someone more interesting.
Havoc, I win again. Can't beat a console player on 30 frames, so I can beat console players on 30 frames.
Bruh, no way. No way Havoc lost to the shitter of the For Honor community. No fucking way. This guy fucking sits there and spectates fake number ones. No way Havoc lost. I feel bad for you. Genuinely, I do, Havoc. I hope for the best. There is no way you lost to this guy that just made a video on, can 4 female content creators beat 4 male? What's next? 4 white guys versus 4 black guys? Like, god damn, Angelus. I can't give him shit. He does make some pretty good thumbnails, and overall his viewership is much higher. He still posts his fake number 1 series. I'm sure if you go find my original exposed video, you'll see all the proof you need. As much as I want to keep shitting on Angelus, I need to move on with the video. Maybe one day I'll make a 3rd exposed video. For the rest of the community though, they seem pretty tired. They seem to just be doing the same content because that's all they can really do with such a game that doesn't get much different content when it comes to game modes or any just unique stuff. They only rehash the same things, which I can't blame the content creators for doing. This is why my content is diverse straight from the start. Instead of just covering For Honor, I do fanboy, Skyrim, modding. I can even teach you how to mod. The one downside to the community is that they only cover this game. They don't really expand too much out. Some of them do, but their main content is For Honor. And then what happens when you alienate your fanbase when the game dies and you start covering other games? You can start by covering other topics close to it. But as we all know, that isn't going to work out as there's no other game like For Honor, except Kingdom Come Deliverance. It is time to talk about the state of the game. Where should we start? Let's start off with content. It's not really what we want. I don't think many of us really care about the pirate skin. I mean, who really plays that character? Only special ed people play it. After that, we have universal content. I don't think many of us really care about it. It's the same stuff, nothing really special. It's not really cool, interesting. I do think there is a benefit to some of it can be good, but overall, at this time in For Honor, we just want to see new maps. It seems like the most common complaint about this game. I do think the environmental artists at Ubisoft Montreal, when they used to make maps for Honor, definitely need to get a raise. But with that, the current state is pretty shit. Nothing really entertaining is happening. Nothing really worthwhile. It's just, oh, another season. Anyway, let's not play the game. That's kind of the reaction that I'm getting from a lot of people, and especially me. There's just nothing really worth to buy. Even when it comes to the hero skins that were meant to be something new and exciting, they're pretty terrible. They're also expensive, that's another problem. They're also not really unique. Look at Raider, right? They just made a black guy with a couple of markings on him. That was it. It wasn't really anything special. It was still a naked Raider, pretty much. There is little to no competitive scene for the game. I mean, none of it really even exists. Anytime they try to do something, there's always cheating, stupid shit just going on in the background that makes it pretty much hard or impossible for the dev team, or even the Ubisoft team, just to do anything with the game when it comes to a competitive or esports environment. Doesn't help most of the people they try to signal boost as good players are genuinely garbage. This is why OCE is genuinely the only good group of people. Yeah, I'm singling out every group, especially the Americans that think they're top shit. They're not. They're garbage. What are you gonna do, fight me about it? I just won't respond. I can laugh at you. Yeah, that's what I'll do. No, you've pretty much made it to the end of the video. Now this is where I'll just talk about small bits of information about the game that I think is interesting and cool. I think it is pretty interesting how they put a lot of work behind the meshing and skeleton work of the characters, especially making sure that everything fits in place, physics work, and everything doesn't clip. That is genuinely hard to pull off in a game. Seeing them take this extra effort when making characters is very impressive, especially with hero skins as well, as they always do this. They always make sure that it works, that there is no texture stretching, or anything in between. Very impressive. I do think it's disappointing that they don't expand on the lore of the game. I do think it's very interesting. I mean, until they butcher it all completely, constantly, and continually butcher it to this day. As you can see, with some of the newer stuff, it makes no sense. This went from being a dark and gritty game to a fantasy game. I think that is very disappointing. It takes away a lot of the messaging and what they had for the campaign, and I do believe Apollyon is a very good villain. Definitely one of the best out there for what it was doing. With such little talk, they were able to make a pretty impactful villain. That is very hard to do with such little time that they had. Not many people talk about the campaign, but it is pretty good to go back for nostalgia. Do any of you boys remember Raven Knight and Baus Phoenix? During the research of this video, I stumbled upon their channels again. Holy shit, it hit me like a wave of nostalgia. So, I don't really have much else I want to add. This part isn't really necessary as it's not really going to cover any information. So join my Discord, subscribe, and help me reach 1,000 subs. Goodbye. I'll see you in the next, maybe long-form video, but I'll be returning back to another form of content. So, you take care.